Okay, everyone. We'd like everyone to join us today in our second of our Indigenous series on oral tradition and Blackfoot language. Today we have Mary Ellen Little Moustache who will be joining us, and she's going to be talking about traditional games. But before we do that, I'd like to do the land acknowledgement. Okay, the Lethbridge Public Library acknowledges that we are gathered on the lands of the Blackfoot people of the Canadian Plains, and we pay respect to the Blackfoot people, past, present, and future, while recognizing and respecting our cultural heritage, beliefs, and relationships to the land. City of Lethbridge is also home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3. So, Oki, Nidanigu Abanaki. My name is Linda Weaselhead, and I'd like to welcome Mary Ellen Little Moustache. She'll introduce herself, her Blackfoot name, and then she'll launch right into her program. Before we start, if you have questions, put them down in the Q&A. And at the end, we'll leave about 15 minutes for questioning. Okay, Mary Ellen, welcome.
Okay. Mr. Wandakok Nawaksaki. Hello, my name is Tobacco Pod Woman. In English, it is Mary Ellen Little Moustache. Me no tu Bikani Sini. I came from Bikani land. Nidapi anoksi Bikanaki. Ma nina anista otquisi pistochkomi. Yellow Owl Calling. His English name, my father, is Alphonse Little Moustache, and he comes from the North Bikani Reserve in southern Alberta. Manixistanista Achsikamutsaki. Achsikamutsaki means she likes to steal. Her English name is Wilma Still Smoking Little Moustache, and she resided in Bikani, the southern Bikani land, before she married my father. Nistuanakok anoksi Bikanaki. That means that I'm half Bikanaki, but I'm half from the south and half from the north. Daniko Nawaksaki. Nawaksi is the tobacco pod, and it is one of the plants that is used in the Sun Lodge. Naksi Okau, my grandma, she put up the medicine lodge. Anista Sikhyayaki. Her name was Black Bear Woman, and she put up the medicine lodge in North Bikani Sini. All my life, I've been going back and forth, and it's been interesting journey for me. I am now a great grandmother. One of my grandfathers was Black Weasel. Ki Outback Sixanum was Black Weasel, and he was from Amskapi Bikani. And his son was Sakyotsis, Still Smoking. And that was where my mother's maiden name came from. So on the northern Bikani side, my grandfather was my Stu Oestan, Crow Flag. And so all of my life, we have connections throughout the Blackfeet Confederacy. Naxi understanding Niki. When I first came to Canada, in my earliest memories, my grandma Stanley Nicky, or Kills instead, her English name was Cecile Lastar. Lastar was the name of her father, her husband, her last husband. So my grandfather, her first husband, Anastat Sahkomapi, which means boy. His English name was Oscar Boy. In my way of learning, I was taught to walk along the streams and the hills, and we lived away from cities and towns. We lived in the country. So a lot of my time was spent finding out about nature. My name, Nawaksaki, it took me a long time to find out to identify the exact plant. And in the course of my time, I began to make these little amulets, the belly button we call motoyis. And so in making them, we make them different shapes. The spopi, which is the turtle, the napski, which is the lizard, and the bixiksini, which is the snake. And one day I was making one of them, and an elder, Susie Whitecalf, Miapskapi Pikanaki, Danik, she told me that what I was doing with those putting medicine in those animal-shaped pouches, that was the name of my name. That was the meaning of my name. And so all of my life, I tried to learn all and as many of our skills, not only to make myself comfortable camping in the summer. I would camp in a teepee. And so I learned how to work with wood and with rocks. In Blackfoot, we call the wood, the trees, nistsis, and the rocks are ochgetoks. I have a number of songs that I sing that are related to basic words in Blackfoot that it helps me to remember, and it helps the children to remember as well. Yeah, amo nitstukimat. Akong nitstukimat. Okay, so the first song, I call it Okstaki. It is the numbers up to from 1 to 13. I believe that within those numbers encompasses all the Blackfeet sounds of the Blackfeet number system. So once you get this song, your mouth gets the exercises that we need to count in Blackfoot. Nidukska na dukaniukska nisu nisedu noy ekitika nanisoy biksoy kipuni sikopatuna sikopatuna Okay, the next song that I will sing, Napi Otopin. In Heartbeat, Miam Skapitapiks, they say Otopim. It's more usual to use the word Otopim for rope. So this song is called Napi's Rope. I start off with the color red, Moxanatsi. Purple, Gomaninatsi. Blue, Utsquinatsi. Green, Sesclimaquinatsi. And then the chorus says, Napi Otopin, Napi Otopin. And then we go into yellow. I'm sorry, Otquinatsi. I said Otquisabistokumi because that's my father's name, Yellow Owl Calling. Orange, Otquinatsi. And then we go back to Moxanatsi because the rainbow always repeats itself. You have to be really careful in listening because blue, yellow, and orange, they sound almost the same. So if you say blue, Utsquinatsi. Yellow, Otquinatsi. Orange, Otquinatsi. Utsquinatsi, Otquinatsi, Otquinatsi. So just remember the difference. And then the last chorus after I sing Napi's Rope again, then we will sing Nitsukitamitak. If I'm on that side of the line, there's subtle dialectual differences. So over on that side of the line, when I'm in the border, the US-Canada border, when I'm on the south side, I say Nitsukitamitaki. But when I'm on this side, I say Nitsukitamitak. So let's go. Moxanatsi, Gomaninatsi, Utsquinatsi, Sesquimaquinatsi, Napi Otopim, Napi Napi Otopim, Napi Otopim, Napi Napi Otopim, Napi Otopim, Napi
Mary Ellen, your song faded out. I think you lost sound here.
Oh, let me get my technician.
Maybe you just need to turn it up.
I didn't touch anything. Is it okay when I talk?
No, you're really faded, like somebody turned your volume down.
Oh, just a moment, please. Stephen?
We'll give her a minute too, because that was a really nice song. I've heard her sing it before, so we'll get her an opportunity to start again on that song. She sings this with the little kids to teach them the colors of the rainbow and as an introduction to the game. So that's quite interesting. Kids really get into it. Okay. That's what we don't like about Zoom is that there's always some problems that happen. Okay.
Okay. Okay, we're just going to try. My technician is not available right now.
Well, okay, now your sound is coming up.
Oh, okay.
Maybe you need to sit closer, eh?
Maybe I do. Okay.
Okay. You want to just, okay, go.
Tamita, napi otobima, nitski tamita, napi otobima, oksenatsi, komani natsi, utskui natsi, seskui natsi, napi otobima, napi otobima, napi
Thank you. That was really nice. I really love those songs.
The next song I have is the animal song. So I have 3 animals here. I have Amo Matsika Pisa, Amo Itni, my Itni cookie cutter. Amo Notasi. Matsika Pisa, Matsika Pisa, Matsika Pisa. 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 Itni, 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 itni. Ponokamita no tasi, ponokamita, ponokamita no tasi, ponokamita. These are the horses that I use to teach children about the relay race. Oh, I'm sorry. I can't, my brain just quit.
Mary Ellen, we have a request if you could tip your video down or your camera down a little more. Because yeah, there you go. A little more. There. Perfect.
Oh, good.
Thank you. Yeah, they could just see the top of your.
Oh, the top of.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So one more song and then it'll lead up into the games. I don't know if you can see this. Oh, it's backwards, but it says.
What's the good here?
Okay. Sa piki soksatsit. That's what I've been working on. Amo mistis. That best taki. Sa piki soksatsit. So, manak sanista. I forgot what her name was. Her name was First Fall of Snow Woman. Mini Black Weasel Still Smoking. She istutotpotaki anista. Itstaki imita anista sabiki soksatis. So my grandma, Minnie, she had a dog and he had a ring around his eye. So anista, she called him Blackfoot sabiki soksatis. So I teach my children, my students, the difference between the inanimate language and the animate words. So in Blackfoot, we don't have pronouns like he, she. We have animate or inanimate. Is it moving? Is it alive? Or is it not? So with and then when I'm changing it into a command, then I put a T at the end. So out of these types of trees, the ends of the bushes, I will use the whole tree to make games. And I take off all of, especially this time, it's really fun with the leaves. I was out with my great grandchildren yesterday. Amo sabi kisoksatsu. We can see it. It's a stick, and then I teach children how to make the rings. Utaki, we say for a ring. Utaki. And for a wheel, we call it motoganakatsun. Motoganakatsun is the wheel, and sometimes it's used in the Blackfeet hoop and arrow game. So when my grandma was calling her dog, Sabiki Soksatsis, she'd be calling him from far away someplace. Sometimes he'd wander and she'd be outside. Sabiki Soksatsis, Sabiki Soksatsis, Sabiki Soksatsis. So I'm just untying this because this is what keeps it organized. This little tiny piece of I use every part of the hide, even the little tiny scraps, I can make use of them. So you see two different size of hoops. These are two different difficulties. So when we wrap it around and then we sing, the rule for the game is that you put the hoop on the floor, and then as you raise it up, you can shoot it. So in learning about these, the song I teach them is Sabiki soksatsit, Sabiki soksatsit, Sabiki soksatsit. So sabiki soksatsis with the S at the end is the object, the ring. And it's also the same word that people use when they get married, to put the ring on the finger. So the mechanics, the science of making a hoop, you would have to understand green wood versus dry wood that's bendable. See, we can bend these. And then sometimes they come with their own little bends. We don't have to bend them. But the ultimate is to try to get them straight and true, like the teepee. So in teaching the games, one of the categories is the minor amusements, the toys that we make. So you see, somebody has made, my nephew made this for me, Nitoyes. And we also call it Nukuan, which is my home. So in carving and working with the wood and knowing when to work with the wood, that is very important, especially when it comes to making weapons and things that we can hunt with, so that we can feed ourselves. And then also for carving on a teepee pole, all of the teepee poles, they have to be carved. The bark has to be taken off. There's the outer bark, then the inner bark, then the pole itself. And we know growing up, peeling teepee poles, that it has to be done a certain way. And so all of these games give people practice. So one of the games that we have, we call it Aikstapukska si ohkumi. And that, I love saying the word because it reminds me of my dad. I said, ohkumi, that means running and screaming. So we begin to, and then I always open up with a question, the Gagi stew, who are you? Well, they begin to think about their preferences. Maybe they like green, maybe they like orange, maybe they like to put lots of beads, maybe they like to put just a few. So they can begin to understand what it would take to make an arrow. When you make an arrow and you put your own decoration, your own type of design, then if there's a whole bunch of people that are hunting a buffalo, they would be able to pick out which arrow killed that buffalo. And so in ownership, and when it's in a confusion of a hunt, that is very important. That designates how much meat you get and how much is portioned out and which are the choicest pieces. So it's very important for people to be able to identify. Like even on the teepee designs, we have the Blackfeet are known for painted teepees. With all of the games, they come from nature. They come from things that we can work with. Amo bokun, amo bokun, amo bokun. This in English is called a bezoar. In Blackfoot, we call it the bokun. Now, the shinny game, motsinna, we get sticks and we use the taproot of the chokecherry stick to make that L like a hockey stick. Shinny is the grandfather of hockey. And this is like a hairball that's formed in the belly of the buffalo. And so when a buffalo is dead and gone, long time ago, his bones blew away, his skin blew away, this is what's left of him on the prairie. He forms it in his stomach, and you can see how beautiful nature is. That is perfectly round. Utaki. Bokon. So in the old days, we would use hide to make balls and to stuff them with. We'd use buffalo hair or deer hair in this case. I got this off a deer's tail. So as a games maker, you not only have to know trees, you must also know about the rocks, and you must also know about the plants. Amogatsimo. Bonogomidaks, horses, they know about this plant. If they have sores or ailments on their skin, they will go and roll in sage. And they know that the properties of this plant help to fight off viruses, bacteria. And a lot of times, that's all the medicine that we have out on the prairies if we get cut. And if our skin gets injured, but also we can make a tea with it. The guinea, the berry. When I used to travel with my mom, we didn't have, up in the hills, we didn't have a McDonald's or a Walmart. We only had the trees. And so we would eat the flowers. There's certain leaves that we could eat. My mother knew those plants, and we always carried water. So as a modern, we look at these different spherical spheres that we have in our nature. Well, in one way, we also have to acknowledge the poverty within the Native communities. The Indigenous people are fraught with poverty. And so for them to play organized sports, it's expensive. So when I make these all from nature and from the things that I can do, just with the pandemic, there was a shortage of hacky sacks. And we always try to make things as simple as possible for our students, but also to be durable. So I learned how to crochet a long time ago. So I did the crocheting, and then we make the tail to make sure that the gophers don't steal them down their holes. But they're stuffed, and there's sand, and there's real buffalo hair in there. So we can use them for different games. This is the run and scream. So what I would do, I would take a breath and I would go, ah. Where my breath ends, that's where I plant my stick. And with the decorations that I put on there, if there's a whole bunch of us that are racing together, then we could see. And then also we can use these sticks to have throwing games to practice our hand-eye coordination. Okay, just one more thing before we go to the questions. I wanted to emphasize the games are positive. In Blackfoot, the word sugapi, it's not just a stagnant word that means good. It's a movement word, and it means movement onward and upward. That's the best way I could describe it in English. Onward and upward. So we want to be flexible. I'm just looking at this Awakhan, play Lethbridge. One of our elders, Julius Delaney, he came up with these words. And so I am trying to emphasize not only the movements that are required by the Canadian educators, but also the Blackfoot principles. To be flexible. Mato gakstimakba. Mato gakstimapi. Existutsipi is freely chosen. Existutsipi. So we're not forced to do it. We can do it just on our own. Biota beats. Challenging. Biota beats. Ganata beats. Inclusive. So we include everybody. The games are fun from the tiniest babies laying on the buffalo hide listening to Napi stories to the eldest elder who can ring a stick or throw a ball. Ochbi soap, spontaneous. Ochbi soap. Ochkotetsi. Adaptable, ochkotetsi. Adaptable. Eximstatup. 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 Eximstan, that's my thoughts. Eximstatup, that's imaginative. apesteep, be creative. So with all of these, one of my favorite games is the mini hand game. I played several years of traveling the hand game circuit and learning songs. So I'm going to just show some. We have a mini hand game that we play with 3 sticks and we hide the rock. And I'll finish this session with my meanest hand game song, Hayokomotsai. I'll use my rattle. Awana, mama, awana. Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, yeah, oh, yeah, Again, I have so much more to talk about, but we'll see if there's any questions.
I don't see any questions right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to show the hoop and arrow that I made for you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, show that, yeah.
I was commissioned by the library, by Linda's department, to make these hoop and arrow sets, Blackfeet hoop and arrow sets. So these are the hoops that we would use to chase and practice shooting. If you remember, before we had horses, we were on foot. We had to walk around. So we made these to, let me see if I could do it on this. That is originally it was made from the cord of the buffalo hump. So when the beads came in, they were incorporated. And then when we got the horses, we incorporated to be a horse game. So what we do is we roll these. These will roll and will be out on the field. And each player will have 2 of these arrows. And they'll chase them. They'll chase them. And then there's different point systems for these. There's a school in Brockett, Alberta. It's called Nappy's Playground. Now, the original name came from there's an area up in the southwest corner of Alberta. It is called the Gap. In English, we call it the Gap. And up there, I don't have the book here. I was going to show you a copy of that book, but it's just called Old Man's Playing Ground. And the school in Brockett is called Knoppy's Playground. It's an elementary school. And where this gap was, this area of the mountains, they would gather. It was a natural gathering place for the people that came from on the other side of the mountains. And so in 1792, there was a man, his name was Peter Fiddler. He came with the Hudson's Bay Company, and they had, some Piikani had traveled way up north to meet them. And so those people from the Hudson's Bay, they were so glad to meet these Piikani, because up until then, there wasn't that much travel in Blackfeet territory. So at that place, he drew out this game field that was 45 yards long and about 10 yards at the widest place. And it was clearly demarcated with rocks and sticks at the time, whatever that they had to use. And the implements, the game that they were playing was this Blackfeet hoop and arrow game. And so in Blackfoot, we call it Itsiwa. And so and then also when they say Apsi, that means arrow. And then the hoop is the Motaganakatsin or Otaki. We have a whole archaeological study that they went back and studied. And of course, they're not going to find the game field because the river changed. The river course changed there. So this tells us how important the games were to us as Blackfeet people. It helped our relationship not only with the other tribes, but it helped with the introduction to the colonizers, where they were able to, there's recorded history of this man. His name was Stuart Cullen. He went in North America from coast to coast, from north to south, and he studied many Indian tribes. Well, they called them Indians at that time. They're indigenous now. Many indigenous tribes. And we found out that there was no team sports in all of all of the world except North America. So we gave the world football, soccer, hockey, badminton, softball, baseball, basketball. It's such a pride to me. I feel so that's the one area where we can say that we excelled in education. When in educating our children, we wanted them to be strong. We wanted them to be creative. We wanted them to be all of those wonderful attributes that would make a community strong, make them to be able to live amongst each other. So in this time of reconciliation for Canada and for the United States, this is such a gentle way to introduce our culture. So not only do we have all of the items from our life, like our moccasins and our teepees, but we also have games that we can play and ways that we can get people moving. A lot of times when when we're playing the games, like the hand games, there's so many tribes that play them, and there's a lot of different rules from tribe to tribe. Some tribes, they sit on the ground or on the floor. They don't sit in chairs. And some will have their singers sitting out front, and then their medicine people, and then the women, and they'll all be dressed alike. So they'll have clear team colors. And so there's the games, they vary. We have so many different kinds of hoops. The original dream catcher, that is a target hoop that was developed by the Salish people. And so in honor of them, we play those games. And I have people from the Lakota Nation that I traded. I traded a moose hide for 4 of these rackets. They're called Lakota racket ball. And the children that I saw playing with these, the students, they were all sizes. They had one in each hand, and they were so in love with their rackets that they would sleep with them. And it would be like an extension of their arm.
That's really good. I didn't know that. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, Mary Ellen, we're coming to the end of the session.
Okay.
Did you want to add anything at the end? We only had one question. Someone wants to know if we can, if the schools can borrow the hoop and arrow. I believe we are going to allow them to go out, but more importantly, I would like people to contact you if they would like to have the games in their school, because I think it's important that that they're conducted properly.
Yes.
That they're not just, you know, there's certain rules that need to be followed and safety measures, all that.
Yeah.
So if you need to get a hold of Mary Ellen, get a hold of me, and I can email her, or yeah, so we can do that. You also work with the Sports Council, right, here in Lethbridge?
Yes, I do.
So you can get a hold of her through the Sports Council as well. And go ahead.
I'm on Facebook under Mary Ellen LM or Begunny Traditional Games.
Oh, okay. That'll be perfect then.
Yeah,
All right. Well, that's good.
Okay.
All
Yeah.
right. Oh, there's one more question. Just hang on. So, oh, there, she just said thank you.
Oh,
okay. All right. I just want to again thank you very much. This is just, of course, the tip of the iceberg. To get the full picture, you need to play the game. I know we've done a lot of hoop and arrow here at the library, and we did the run and scream and the mini hand games. We've done that.
Yeah.
The kids really enjoy that one. So if you're interested in that type of activity after school, or if you're working for an organization, go ahead. So look us up on our webpage under Word on the Street, and we do have some upcoming 3 more sessions coming up. On Thursday, we have Brian Smith, who's also from Begunny. He'll be talking about addictions and how he's gonna share his story with us. As you know, that's our social issues. We need to reach back and hear from people that have been able to overcome and know kind of some hints. He said, I'm not going to tell people what to do, but here's my story. So that'll be happening on Thursday at 6 o'clock. And on Friday at 6 o'clock, Emily Fox will be making faceless dolls. And our faceless dolls have taken on a new dimension. It just started as a toy way back. I have a picture from Writing on Stone of a little girl, a Blackfoot girl, with a faceless doll. And since then, the missing, murdered, and Indigenous men and women have taken that as their kind of their symbol, as well as the moccasins, the vamps, as they call them. Yeah. Oh, you have a little doll, eh? Yeah. Yours has a face.
Yeah.
So ours, and then this year we've gone to making paper dolls without faces. So
Mm.
look for those kits. We ran out yesterday. Actually, this morning they gave out the last ones, and so we're putting them on the website, the directions, so you can access that. And then on Saturday, we've got a married couple from Stony, who have written some books from their culture, from the Stony people, and are promoting like Boys with Braids, the reason that happens, um, just different aspects of our culture and their culture that they were told. So look for that on Saturday. I believe it's at 10 o'clock or 11. Anyway, check it out. I think it's 11 o'clock on Saturday. So invite your kids to watch that. So Mary Ellen, I'll give you a few minutes to conclude, and then we'll say you Gatamats and
Okay.
which means see you later.
The in the Nitoyas, they're kind of, you can see them a little bit on there. The little circles on the flaps. I heard something really interesting in one session I went to in Calgary, and we were talking about those flaps and how we had central air conditioning and central heating in our teepees long time ago, forever. And so we could survive if the weather was cold or if the weather was hot. So this song I have, we have some stories about the Ixkitax are the bunch stars. And so that goes on the, when you're coming out of your teepee, our teepees are always faced east. So the Ixkitax are always on the south side. And then the Ixkitsikamiks are on the other side. That follows the way that they are in the sky. So when I'm singing the songs, I say first that they went to live in the sky, and then I'll say they live in the sky. Oh, the first part is they went to the sky, and then the second part is they live in the sky. And let's see, yeah, Nitsitapi Spoktum. So Kakadu seeks are stars. Ichnix is what we call the Big Dipper, or the seven people. The Ixkitax is the lost children, the story of the lost children. And so both of these stories have these people going to live up in the sky, and we see them as constellations. Hey oh, hey oh, ho. Hey oh, hey oh, ho. Hey oh, hey oh, ho. Way oh, hey. Yo, hey oh, ho. Hey oh, hey oh, ho. Hey. Kakadu seeks
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you for joining us. Look again for some, I also want to, you notice behind me there's an orange shirt. And the reason for that, of course, is on the 30th is Orange Shirt Day. And our paper dolls, we're encouraging people to make a paper doll with an orange shirt on, maybe a ribbon skirt on. And we do have the directions on our website now. So look those up, and maybe you can do one at home with your kids, or we got flooded with requests this morning, so we put them up on the website. So that's really, I think there's been a lot of interest in what happened with the kids that were found in the mass graves. And I believe there's so many people that are wanting to do something positive so we don't ever see something like that again. And I really appreciate the city of Lethbridge for taking the week for reconciliation. But they do so much more throughout the year as well. It's not just a 1 week thing or something, but and this year I believe the Canadian government set aside the 30th as a day to reflect on what happened. And so all work is stopping for that day, and to just really honor those children. And we have to remember the missing, the boarding schools, the residential schools. And we're trying to bring everybody forward and be positive. And Mary Ellen, your work is really positive. Just teaching the language, hearing the words has been really, really, it really warmed my heart. And I hope to hear more of that. And more and more people, if you can learn Blackfoot language or Cree or any of the indigenous languages, Métis have theirs, Mischief, and we should really make an effort to reach out and say, okay, I can learn some of these words, because we learned English. We learned English, and some of us were denied our language. So we're reaching back and trying to fill that hole in our soul. So I'll leave it at that. I don't want anybody to ever feel guilty about these things, but rather what can I do? Not to be paternalistic, but to say, who do I need to talk to so I can help? So I can so I could learn some words, or I could make a paper doll, or I could go to one of these games and try it. Okay, so that's, yeah.
You would say that best the key at the beam, Banaganatsi, a paper doll.
Oh, okay. I'll have to learn that. Okay.
Best the key I'm making. And
I'm making.
Or if we think of it as animate, it would be that best to Tima. At the beam, Banaganatsi.
Oh, okay. You'll have to write that for me.
Our old people thought that paper looked like elk hide, so we call it.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really interesting. Everything is like Sheldon's yesterday talked about how all these words are connected.
Yeah.
And once you look at this, then you can make the connection to another word.
Yeah.
So if people know that, and it's not just a sound that you're making, but it's actually connected to something like the tipi nitois, and then you said something else, and it has the same ending, and I'm going, it has to be.
Nitois is more like the object, but
Object.
Guan is the home.
The home. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay.
Guan.
Copy. Upward, and onward and upward. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Mary Ellen. And wait, there's a couple more questions that came in. I'll just,
Okay.
okay. She says thank you. She has to run, but she loved the session. Oh, that's nice. Okay,
Good.
good.
Thank
All right. All right. So we'll say see you later. Gedematsun.
you.
Okay. I'll talk with you later, Mary Ellen. Okay.
Okay. Bye.